For Slovenia, at least, the COVID-19 headache is officially over. It's the first country in Europe to declare an end to its epidemic. Authorities say they've recorded fewer than 7 new infections per day for the last 2 weeks in a population of 2 million. Well, so far, in total, the country has reported fewer than 1,500 coronavirus cases and 103 deaths. That's despite the fact that it shares a border with Italy, once the European epicenter of the virus. After recording its first case on the 4th of March, it then went into lockdown 8 days later, one of the first countries to impose emergency measures. This included closing schools, shops, restaurants, bars and public transport. Well, for more on this, we can speak now to Jelko Kacin. He's the official speaker of the crisis unit for the Slovenian government. Well, thanks for taking time to speak to us here. Well, some would say the facts and figures don't lie, but what's given the Slovenian government so much confidence to declare an all clear?
Well, good evening. Slovenia recorded just one new coronavirus infection for the second straight day on Thursday, as the number of patients hospitalized by COVID-19 dropped to 29. It was today the first day we have less than 30 patients in our hospital. No new deaths have been reported. Out of these 29, only 7 need assistance, ventilations. All the others are just in hospitals. And we believe that in a few days there will be a next drop. We simply expect that we will be below 20 in the beginning of next week.
Okay. Well, it seems you've clearly demonstrated that you've flattened the curve, but nonetheless there are still active cases in the country, as you've said, and many cases in countries nearby. So is there not sort of a feeling that this act might be a bit premature?
Well, we officially declared that this epidemic will definitely expire by the last day of May. But it depends very much what is going to happen in the meantime. We hope that these positive trends will go on. In the case that something goes wrong, then we will have to go backward. And the government is on standby to react on that. But as it looks now, the situation in Croatia is really improving. The trends are positive. It is very much the same in the case of Hungary. When we talk about Austria, they are trying to open their border. They are inviting tourists from the Federal Republic of Germany. Only in Italy, there are still some problems, and they still implement the measures for their own citizens when they are coming back from Slovenia. This is
so what do you credit your success down to? Sorry for interrupting you there. So I wanted to ask you then, so given that you've reached this point, what do you credit your success down to? Has it been successful testing? Because I don't understand whether you've brought in tracing apps as many other countries have done.
Well, we have implemented very strict measures. At the same time, we're really communicated with our public on the daily basis. We have regular press conferences every day, and we are really communicating, and the situation awareness among people is extremely high. That is one part of the story. The second part of the story are, let's say, some cultural specifications. We belong to the small country, and every life is extremely valuable for us. So we really try to react immediately, and on the basis of that, our hospitals were not filled up with patients. There were always enough free beds in our hospitals. The occupation of our COVID parts of the hospitals were never more than 25%. So we were already ready for a much worse situation. And because of that, because we prepared for a very bad situation, we were much more capable to react on time and to manage it on that way.
Now, we don't have a lot of time left, but I just wanted to ask you before we let you go, you're allowing EU residents now to come back into the country. What steps are you going to take to reduce the risk of infection returning?
Well, we are welcoming all the EU members, only in the case that they have spent more than 40 days, I mean 2 weeks outside of the EU member state, they will have to implement quarantine for 2 weeks. This is the only limitation. In the case that the citizens outside, from the countries outside of European Union would somehow have signs that they have problems, we can deny the entrance for them. But among the countries of EU and the members of common market, we simply believe that we are on the safe side, and we hope that this announcement will somehow strengthen the ambitions among people that we are on the way back to normal.
Jelko Kacin, official speaker from Slovenian government's COVID-19 crisis unit. Thanks for taking time to speak to us here on the programme.